What's up everybody, and welcome to a new video. And in this video we're going to go over my notes for the editor in VS Code. And in this video we're going to cover how to modify the editor layout. And here the first point is about the full screen mode. So you can toggle that either via the layout controls, so with this button here, and then here full screen, or you can also do it via the menu bar. Therefore go here to the menu bar, then view, appearance, and then here full screen. Or you can also do it via the command palette. So if you go to the command palette and then simply search for full screen. And now if I run this command, this now probably looks a little bit strange to you, but that's because I have an ultra wide screen and you only see part of my screen. So let's toggle this off again. So for that reason I can show you the second point here. I can only mention it, namely in contrast to maximizing the window. So with this button here, in contrast to that, the full screen mode hides the menu bar and the buttons to minimize, maximize, and close the window, as well as the Windows taskbar. Okay, so those are my notes for the full screen mode. Okay, so then the next point is about the Zen mode. And this you can also toggle in these three ways. So you can go to the layout controls and then here Zen mode. You can go to the menu bar, view, appearance, and then Zen mode, or you can go to the command palette and search for Zen. So this way then you can toggle this on, and this then enables a more minimal editor experience. So it basically hides everything of the UI except the files that you're working on. However, everything, all the functionality is still available, for example via the command palette. And you can actually adjust what is being hidden via the settings. So let me open the settings by pressing Ctrl, comma, and then here simply search for Zen. And then here you can see all the settings that you can adjust with respect to the Zen mode. So for example, let's say we don't want to hide the activity bar, then we can toggle this off. And then here we have then the activity bar. Okay, so those are the settings. And then here lastly, the side note simply states that you can exit the Zen mode by double pressing escape. So if I double press escape, then we exit the Zen mode. Okay, so those are the notes that I wanted to cover with respect to the Zen mode. So the next is the centered layout. And this applies when there's only one editor group. And again, you can toggle that in these three different ways. So you can go to layout controls, have here the centered layout, or in the menu bar, or via the command palette. If you search for centered layout, and then you can toggle this on. And this then puts simply the editor group into the center of this editor area. And then here we have the sashes. You can adjust the size. And if you hold Alt, then you can adjust those sashes here independently of each other. Okay, so this is the centered layout. Okay, so now let's get to the next point, which is about multiple editor groups. And here there are different ways of how you can create a grid layout. And the first one is via drag and drop. So for example, if I drag a file to the bottom of this editor group here, then I can split it to the bottom. I can also split it to the left or to the top or to the right. And then here, when there's already an editor group open, then you can drag here the tab and then thereby split the editor in this way. And if you drag a file into the center of an editor group, then that file gets added to that editor group. And here as a side note, if you now want to move the whole editor group, so both of these files here, then you can drag the title area. And again, another side note, if you hold Shift while dragging a file, then you can insert a link to that file. So for example, you can insert a markdown link, a relative path, or the absolute path. Okay, so this is dragging and dropping. Then the next option is to use the split editor button in the editor toolbar. So this button here, and this then simply splits the editor to the right, or if you hold Shift or Alt, then you can split it to the bottom. And this is useful if you want to work in different locations of a file, so that you don't have to scroll up and down all the time. Okay, so then here I also have a side note, namely you can also split the editor within the same editor group. And therefore you can use these commands in the command palette. So for example, let's split this editor within the same group. So therefore open the command palette with Ctrl-Shift-P, and then let's use this toggle split editor and group command. So let's press enter. So this now toggles, splits this editor within the same group. And now here you can also then toggle the layout of this editor group. So let's toggle this again. And you can also switch the focus. So for example, now here we are on the left side, and if you want to get to the right side, we can use this command focus other side in active editor. So this way we get then to the right side. Okay, so now let's toggle this off again. And this is the side node here. And with that, we have covered the split editor button. And the third way how you can create a grid layout is via the menu bar, and then here view, and then editor layout. So here you have the command split up, down, left, right. Then here also have the command to split the editor group. Then here at the bottom you have the command to flip the layout. So this flips then here the layout horizontally or vertically. And then here you have a list of predefined grid layouts. So for example, if I use this 2x2 grid, then we have this, or these 4 editor groups here. So this creates then these empty editor groups, and those you can then populate with your respective files. Okay, so those are the 3 ways in which you can create a grid layout. And then here, this last side note, this is about this setting about closing empty groups. So therefore now let's open the settings here to see how that works, and then search for empty group. So by default this is enabled. So therefore then if you close here an editor group, so for example if I close that, then the empty editor group is closed as well. And if I turn this off, and now if I close this editor group here, then this empty editor group stays open. And if you want to close it, then you can use this X here. Okay, so those are all the notes that I want to mention with respect to multiple editor groups. Okay, so now let's go over the side note here, which is about floating editor windows. And again, you can create them in different ways. For example, via the menu bar, editor layout, and then here you have the commands move editor into new window or copy editor into a new window. And these commands you also have available, for example, by right-clicking the tab. So here is the command move into new window or copy into new window. Or what you also can do is simply drag the editor outside of the VS Code instance. This creates then this floating window here, and this you can put on another place on your monitor or on a different monitor. Or what you also can do is simply drag the editor back into the VS Code instance. Okay, so with that now we've covered all the points that I wanted to cover with respect to modifying the editor layout. So we've reached the end of this video, and then in the next video we will go over the notes for code editing. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.